Now Entering is made possible with support from South Madison Community Foundation, St. Vincent Anderson Regional, and Citizens State Bank, Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Brett A. Bubalo and Dustin A. Pennington, Fredericks Incorporated Contractors, Integrity of Madison County, Martin Insurance Group, The Signage, Town of Pendleton, Solutions for eBiz, Anderson Madison County Visitors Bureau, and Anderson Creative.
Hi, I am Town Manager Tim McClintock. You are now entering the Town of Pendleton.
Located about 20 minutes north of Indianapolis in Madison County, more than 4,200 people call Pendleton home. Pendleton is a growing town with a growing sense of pride for its rich history, its thriving businesses, and its strong community focus. It's the result of a lot of work by countless dedicated people over many years. Today, Pendleton has established itself as one of Central Indiana's most attractive places to live. But the beauty of Pendleton, residents will tell you, goes well beyond its tree-lined streets and picturesque waterfall. It's in the stories, told here by the residents themselves, through their own photos and videos. You are now entering Pendleton, Indiana.
I've lived in Madison County my whole life. I was actually born in Elwood, Indiana, but I've lived in Pendleton probably 50 years of my life, and lived probably 50 years within 4 blocks of where I live right now on Broadway Street. Broadway is one of the major north-south streets in town. We're sort of limited on our thoroughfares through town because of the railroad tracks and Fall Creek, but Broadway is one of the major streets. It's still the only brick street that's left in Pendleton that's exposed. It's a wide street with tree-lined sidewalks, and in front of my house I still have the ring in the curb where I can tie my horse up. And the neighbors have been around for several years and several generations, and so it's a very unique neighborhood. My grandparents bought our house, the house I live in 1955. They actually purchased it off the daughter of the original builder. It's an 1890s Queen Anne home. The builders lived in it, and then his daughter and son-in-law and granddaughter lived in it, and then my grandparents purchased it. When I purchased it, I pretty much renovated it from top to bottom, new siding, new windows, doors, tore all the plaster out of it. It's been a work of love. I'm passionate about the history. I love building construction. I love old architecture, and I love the fact that I'm maintaining family history also. In my house, there's been 6 generations of family that have slept there. 5 of the generations have actually lived in it. My grandchildren have not lived in it yet, but they have slept there, and they're only 4 blocks away from us again. So, the location of our house is, I think, the best location in Pendleton. It's within walking distance of the downtown. It's within walking distance of the school systems, the elementary and intermediate school at this time. Used to be included the junior high and high school, but expansion of the school system moved them away. When I was growing up, there was 8 teachers in the elementary school that lived within 5 house radius of me. So pretty much if you got in trouble in school, it beat you home. On October 31st is a very big day in the neighborhood along Broadway. It actually looks like a parade. It starts about 6 o'clock in the evening, trick-or-treating does, and at 9 o'clock in the evening it ends. But by 8 o'clock you've already ran out of candy typically. And when I say you ran out of candy, we typically get enough candy to give out to 1,000 kids. Our population is 4,250, so I'm pretty sure all those kids don't live right in Pendleton, but we love it and we're glad to get there. I think the future of our neighborhood is going to stay the way it is. It's people that come and go. Paint colors are going to change, but I think that everybody respects the fact that Broadway's still the way it is, and there's going to be very little change in it. So I think that that's a good solid foundation there. The town of Pendleton is going to change in the near future just because of the growth coming up I-69. We're currently going through a branding project, and we've interviewed a ton of people, and everybody agrees that there's going to be change. We have no intent on trying to stop it. We just want it to grow in the Pendleton way.
I'm Ron Barnhart. I'm Park Superintendent here at Falls Park. I would like to tell a story about how Falls Park was formed and came about, and how important it is to the community. The state of Indiana started the state park system in 1916, and it filtered into small communities, and Pendleton was one that reached out to it. And in 1919 they decided, let's clean up an area down by the falls and Fall Creek and turn it into something of beauty for the community. It took all of the community to do it over time, and which created a lot of memories, created a lot of continuity between groups, and that is what's important about it today, because it continues on into this century. The Lions Club sponsors a June Jamboree. We have a church that does an Easter egg hunt, and we have a pet parade, we have a Halloween parade, we have the car show put on by the Kiwanis, who serve the world-famous K-Burger. There's just a multitude of different events that are all community-driven. The picture that I see when I think of Falls Park is the Fourth at the Falls event. Hundreds of people with smiles on their faces, finishing it off with a nice 30-minute fireworks show. It gives me not just a feeling of satisfaction for the community, but also for myself, that we're able to continue that type of atmosphere for folks as time goes on.
I am Jessica Smith. I will be talking about the Pendleton Historical Museum and its creation. The idea behind having the museum was first discussed with a group that was planning the annual Pendleton High School Alumni Day in 1979, and the idea was very well received in the community. There was a lot of interest in having the museum. Once the idea behind the museum was formed and the organization took off, it was a community effort to get the museum to where it is today. The park department approached the initial museum board about leasing the old bathhouse. And the museum board, of course, did that. And that's the building that we're sitting in today. It looks a little different than it did back then. The first museum board was very proud of the fact that they were able to construct the building debt-free. That was a very big accomplishment. But that didn't mean that the work was done. On dedication day, they didn't just open the doors and say, okay, we're done, we'll just leave it like it is. We're always looking for ways to change, improve what we have, build upon what was there. We still get people that come into the museum today and look, at a certain corner downstairs and say, oh, I helped mud that wall right there. That was my section, I was in charge of that. I joined the museum board in January of 2013, and I have been an active participant on the board since then, always coming up with new ideas to create and how we can display certain items throughout the museum, and how we can engage the public more into coming into the museum or volunteering. For me, part of what makes Pendleton Pendleton is the sense of community and volunteerism throughout, and so this was just my way of giving back.
I'm Katie Burke, and I've lived in Pendleton for 65 years, and I feel very blessed to be able to say that. I just felt like the whole town was my own personal playground. It was like an enchanted forest for me. We lived up on a hill overlooking Fall Creek, and from there we could see the Pendleton Avenue Bridge, knowing that it led into town, and we could see the park, and knowing that that's probably where we were headed on any particular day. In the summer, we would go to the park in the morning. We'd take wax paper to make the slide really slick, which was pretty dangerous for any other kids that might want to do it. And then, we'd wander the town. We could go anywhere in town, and we knew where most everybody lived. And so we always felt safe and like there was family close. My dad owned the Pendleton Lumber Company, and so I would go down there and play. I loved the smell of the cut wood. I'd play in the stacks of the kindling, the scrap wood, and I was always trying to make something out of it. And I'd play in the stacks of wood. Then we'd wander down to the drugstore. We'd sit up at the counter, and usually we'd get root beer in a frosted mug, and we thought we were real big stuff. We were hot shots. We would go down to the post office and look through the wanted posters and talk about how scary some of those people were. And we would just pass our time by playing outside all around town. My mom and dad had a dinner bell, and you could hear it all over town. And so we were pretty free to roam all day long, but when we heard that dinner bell ring, we'd better be home now. And that was just, everybody knew. The Craigs have to be home now, must be time for supper. In the summer, it was playing in the park and swimming in the pool. They'd dam up the pool, the water would fill up, and that was the big deal, was to come to Pendleton and swim in the pool. And I learned to swim in the creek. We had metal tags and with a number on it, and so we'd buy a yearly pass or a summer pass, and we'd have to put that metal tag, we'd have to sew it on our swimsuits, and that's how we could get in every day. The museum now sits on what was the old bathhouse, and that was pretty special. In the winter, it was all about the ice skating. We'd all have skates. We'd go down to the pond. We'd use the heel of our skate, the blade, the back blade, to chip away at the ice to see how thick the ice was, which really didn't matter because we were going to go ice skating anyway. We'd take shovels and clear away the snow. I remember one time the fire truck came down and sprayed it with water, so it was really slick. We'd play crack the whip, we'd jump over sleds, we'd try to do all the things we saw in the Olympics, jump and turn and fall, and and then when we'd get really, really cold, we'd go to the DX station on the corner and buy a can of kerosene. We'd go over to the shelter house, and outside the shelter house we would gather sticks or wood or something and build a fire, and we'd sit there and warm our feet. It was just an awesome place to grow up, and again, I always felt safe. I felt like it was all my own.
Good evening. It's Pendleton night on WIPB, and this is the premiere of the second episode of our Now Entering series. Hi, I'm Michelle Kinsey, Community Engagement Coordinator for WIPB and one of the executive producers of Now Entering.
And I'm Angie Rapp, the Marketing Manager for WIPB. And behind us are just some of the great people of Pendleton, many of whom you will recognize as storytellers in tonight's program.
As I said, this is our second episode in our Now Entering series, and we are so pleased to have you join us. Now, if you have friends or neighbors who might not be watching, be sure to give them a call and let them know it's Pendleton night right here on your local PBS station, WIPB. We have some more wonderful stories coming up they won't want to miss. And if they live, say, out of the viewing area, no problem. They can visit WIPB.org or our Facebook page because we're streaming the show live.
Right now, we're looking for your support to continue to make local programs like this one possible. Just call 800-252-9472. If you've been watching for the past few minutes, you know that the stories you've already seen are being told by your friends and neighbors from Pendleton, Indiana. They went out and shot the video, collected the photos, and then sat down with our crew to tell all of the stories that you're enjoying tonight. And that's no small feat to make it all come together. It's a great partnership between WIPB and the whole town of Pendleton. And now we're asking you to do your part to become a part of this project by calling 800-252-9472 or going online at WIPB.org. And when you do, we have a great way to say thank you.
With your ongoing sustaining gift of $6 or a single annual gift of $72, we will send you the DVD of Now Entering Pendleton. You'll be able to enjoy all the stories you saw tonight, plus bonus material featuring stories that didn't make it into tonight's program, behind-the-scenes footage and photos of production day at the Pendleton Historical Museum, and footage in studio on Pledge Night. For an ongoing sustaining gift of $9 or a single annual gift of $108, we will send you 2 DVDs of Now Entering Pendleton. Keep one for yourself and give one as a gift. Call now at 1-800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org to support your local PBS station, WIPB.
We have so many amazing stories still to come thanks to the people of Pendleton. This project is a true portrait of a community because it is painted by the residents through their photos, videos, and narration. Like Katie Burt, who told the story of growing up in Pendleton. Katie, tell us about the experience of collecting all of your memories for this project.
It was really fun. After we went to the initial meeting, even sitting in that meeting, my mind just started whirling.
Sure.
And I kept thinking, well, I need to tell this story, and I need to tell this story, and I need to tell this story. And it was so fun, and going back, and it brought about more memories that, you know, each one keyed another one. And it was just fun looking through old photographs.
Yes.
And sharing it with my siblings.
Sure.
And looking through the old home movies, but the slides were really fun. I got the slide projector out and was looking at all the old slides of growing up. And it's really fun to see it on the screen then.
Sure.
So it was really fun.
Were there some things maybe that you had forgotten about and you thought, oh my gosh, oh, I remember that day, or, you know, swimming there? Because I think, you know, your story had so many photos and so many videos. You must have them stockpiled somewhere. You must have had quite a bit. Yeah.
My mom is good. She is awesome at not only labeling the photographs, but the videos and everything too.
Right.
So yes.
So were any of them kind of first time, like, oh, I've never seen that before?
No, because I'm very sentimental, and so I like to go back, and we do as a family. We go back. My brother from Japan was here a couple years ago, and I said, let's get out the movies. And so we just laughed and laughed we always made fun of one of my sisters, and she felt a little picked on that night.
She may be watching. Maybe
she is. She better be watching. Yeah. She better be watching at Pendleton Heights High School. Right. But it was so fun. We just laughed, and we could have stayed there all night and watched hundreds more, but
sure,
we couldn't.
Well, you mentioned that you had so many stories swirling in your mind. Mm-hmm. You're actually telling 2 tonight. So tell us a little bit about the other story that you're telling later in the program.
The other story is about my dad. My dad was a Marine. Mm-hmm. He was a student at Purdue when they bombed Pearl Harbor, and he was our hero, and my cousin wrote a book about that, and that's at the museum. And he just did so many things, and he was such an example of the greatest generation. After the war, he put it behind him. He came back, started a family. He and my mom were engaged and actually got married before he went to Iwo Jima. And And that's kind of a fun story. She was at home in Knightstown, and he called and said, "You want to get married?" And she said, "Well, okay." And he says, "Well, next weekend." She said,
Wow.
"Okay."
Yeah.
She had an uncle out there, so she flew out there, and they actually stood in for someone else's wedding because he'd gotten shipped out. And so that was a fun story. But and then after the war, he put that aside, and he came back to Pendleton. His dad had a home on Broadway that you saw Tim McClinic talk about. Yeah. And he owned the lumber yard, and he had the house on the hill, and just started a family and went about his regular life,
Sure.
just putting all the other behind him.
Well, we cannot wait to hear more that story later, and I'm sure you could have told a million more. But we are so very thankful that you told two very special ones this evening, and
Thank you
sharing
for the
that with
opportunity.
everyone who watches tonight. We cannot thank you enough. So thank you for being a part of this project, Now Entering Pendleton. Thank you so much, Katie. Angie?
I love that story, and I love this series. I think it's one of the best and most important things we do here on WIPB. Part of our mission is to be the local voice for the audience of East Central Indiana. And tonight, we're bringing you the voices of Pendleton. The great folks of Pendleton came together to make this show possible, and we have several of them with us here tonight, taking your calls of support. Let's keep those phones lit up and our phone bank busy all night. Thanks to everyone who's already called in supporting great local programs that only WIPB, your local PBS station, can bring you. If you haven't called yet, don't worry, there's plenty of time. Just go to your phone now and dial 800-252, there's one, 9472, or go online at WIPB.org and make your gift of support to this station, and more importantly, of this program. When you do, we have some wonderful thank you gifts.
With your ongoing sustaining gift of $6 or a single annual gift of $72, we will send you the DVD of Now Entering Pendleton. You'll be able to enjoy all the stories you saw tonight, plus bonus material featuring stories that didn't make it into tonight's program, behind-the-scenes footage, and photos of production day at the Pendleton Historical Museum, and footage in studio on Pledge Night. For an ongoing sustaining gift of $9 or a single annual gift of $108, we will send you 2 DVDs of Now Entering Pendleton. Keep one for yourself and give one as a gift. Call now at 1-800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org to support your local PBS station, WIPB.
When you call in tonight, we're also going to thank you on air because we want everyone to know that you're a part of Now Entering Pendleton. People like Nancy Wynant, who is one of our storytellers. She wasn't able to join us tonight, but she made her call of support, and we want to thank you, Nancy. I know you're watching, and thank you so much for telling your story and for calling in. So please keep those calls coming. We love hearing from you and how important local programs like Now Entering are to you. Remember, WIPB is member supported. Our members are people just like you. They are people in our communities who appreciate the diverse programs that WIPB brings you every day. If WIPB is an important part of your day, please let us know now with a call of support at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org to make a gift through our secure online form.
Don't put off making that call. Tonight is your night, Pendleton, to show your love for your hometown and for your local PBS station. WIPB takes pride in serving Pendleton and East Central Indiana every day with the programs that you love: Nature, Masterpiece, Frontline, Daniel Tiger, and our local programs like Indiana Weekend, Wellness Matters, and Now Entering. We love Now Entering.
Yes.
We want to hear from you. Your financial support, no matter what the amount, really does make a difference. We want you to think about how much it matters to you and then pick a dollar amount. We have a couple of suggestions that we're offering tonight that go along with the DVDs, but truly you can make a gift in any amount to WIPB, whatever your budget allows. And don't forget, it's a tax-deductible gift. So it's really easy. It's a win-win for everyone. If you haven't picked up the phone, you need to do it right now before we head back into the program. Just give us a call at 800-252-9472.
You know what? I'm loving this program tonight, and if you're loving this program tonight, you'll notice up in the corner there's a little hashtag action going on. Did you see that, Angie?
I did.
Now Entering Pendleton, so feel free to light up your Facebook pages, your Twitter feeds, your Instagram. Let everyone know that you're watching Now Entering Pendleton, and call in. And oh, we should also point out that if you know some people that are out of the viewing area,
yes,
that's okay.
Absolutely, because we're streaming this program at WIPB.org. Just click on the Pendleton graphic on the homepage, and then that will take you to the option to watch online. You can also tell people if they go and like the WIPB TV Facebook page, they can watch the stream on their phone or tablet or iPad. So
how great is that?
It's
and then
great.
You know what you could do? You could chat with people on the Facebook page.
Absolutely.
Let them know
Give
what
us some
stories you're
comments.
loving.
Yeah.
You know, let them know, oh, I remember that about or State Street. I remember that about the pool.
I
I've
played
been
with
to
Katie
Falls
when
Park.
I was a child.
Seriously, who wouldn't want to be
wanted
Katie's
to.
friend?
I know.
Everybody
A little
wants to
sad.
be Katie Burke's friend. She is such an amazing storyteller. So please, feel free, go on our Facebook page, chat it up with some people, and also please give us a call with your support so that we can continue bringing you Now Entering programs. Next up, we have stories about the More Than Conquers after school program, a house on Haunted Hill, and a beloved homestead.
Now, let's get back to Now Entering Pendleton with a wonderful story about the many arts programs that call Pendleton home.
The arts have always been a very important part of life in Pendleton. And one of the reasons is that the South Madison Community School Corporation has always been very supportive, as have been the members of the public, and the parents and the whole community have always supported the arts. Jackie Brown is the auditorium director at Pendleton Heights High School. She's also responsible for the theater program.
We've been very lucky in our program to have a number of wonderful successes with our students going on to other various areas of theater and the performing arts. Casey Jamerson, a former graduate that went through our choir department and did some plays with us, was also very lucky to be able to perform on Broadway in the Broadway production of Bring It On. We've also had numerous successes with some of our kids, such as Alex Williams, who just got a recording contract in Nashville. The tech or behind the scenes people also do a very good job because they have been very lucky to learn their craft here. All of our productions are student-led. They run lights, sound, build sets. They do all the things that they would do in a theater professionally. And so many of them choose to follow that path and go on into a career in theater.
Chris Taylor is the band director at Pendleton Heights High School. He also is an important part in the arts scene in Pendleton and the community around.
Our program has about 150 students spread throughout a number of different ensembles. We're a big part of the community and enjoy being a part of the South Madison area. One of the things that we do or show off a lot is our marching band. That's where people see us in public a lot, but there are a lot of different other aspects. We have our concert bands, which participate in festivals and contests, and that's where students really learn how to be great musicians. We have our jazz program, which also includes a big jazz festival that we host every year. And then we have our indoor percussion and winter guard groups, which compete throughout the winter, and they've all had great successes in their programs in both the competitive aspect and just the aspect of being learning how to be good students through music. A lot of our students go on to participate in music throughout their lives, and we encourage that. That's one of our biggest successes, is making sure students have a lifelong appreciation of the arts.
In 2013, a small group of people got together and said, what if we put out a call for artists to see if they would be interested in organizing and seeing what we could do as far as developing their skills, promoting arts in Pendleton. The first year we met in a temporary gallery, but we were able to raise funds. We are a nonprofit, and we were able to have a monthly show. Just nearly every month we had a brand new show of art that was made by our members and also community members. and some from out of town. In 2014, in the spring, we were able to buy our own building. The building that we purchased is at 119 State Street, and so we call it Gallery 119. It was formerly the Roxy Theater back in the day when I was in school, when I was a kid, and then it was the Pendleton Gas Company for a while, and then it was the Pendleton Light and Power Company, and then it was the Town Hall for several years. And so the building was left empty, and it kind of fell into disrepair. So when we bought this building, we were not only poor and had to find money to fix this up, but we also had to find muscles and will and energy and time, and by golly, we did it. And so now we have this wonderful gallery. We are still showing brand new shows nearly every month, and we have classes going all the time for adults and older teens. Last summer was our first kids art camp, and we repeated it again this year, and it was just a huge success. The kids loved it, the parents loved it, the Pendleton Artist Society members loved it. There have been a lot of studies that show that access to making art, playing music, being involved in the arts is beneficial to academic studies. And so for that reason alone, that is a real good reason to have arts in the school. But it just makes life better. Nothing enriches and warms up life as well as art does. It just makes life worth living.
More Than Conquerors is the name of the after-school program that I started with two other young ladies from Pendleton, Esta Henderson and Katie Torrance, and I. All three of us graduated from Pendleton. We all grew up here. We all kind of went away after graduating high school, but we're all back. During the school year, our after-school program runs from right when the bell rings until 6 p.m. We have a middle school program and an intermediate program, and each program has a game time where we get to know the kids and we get to play with them and get to just be goofy with them. We have a snack time, and then we have a lesson time where they learn about how to be a good adult or grow up to be good people. And then we do homework time where we get to sit with them and just talk about their days and help them with homework. During the summer, our kids at More Than Conquerors, we have a camp available. And in that camp, it's for about 9 weeks, and we focus on serving others. Our camp this year was called Camp Victorious, and throughout the summer, we had several community service projects. We weeded the Pendleton Community Garden, which they totally loved. We also walked dogs and cats at the Humane Society in Anderson. We packed overnight bags for a local organization, Safe Families. We sorted clothes for another local organization, Outfitters, here in Pendleton. We passed out gift cards at Walmart to deserving families. And just these kids would come and they know that today is about serving people, and they're so excited and they're just on fire to help others. More Than Conquerors has several church partners who give. We also have private donors who give. And we'll have events and fundraisers that businesses always get behind. And the town is really supportive of our program, and even the school system. We have our program in the schools, which makes it completely free and easy for students to arrive and to hang out with us. Our ultimate goal is that these will be our adults. We have 10 to 14-year-olds, so in 10 years, this is the future of Pendleton. When you see the kids that I see every day, and you see their hearts, and you see how excited they are to be in Pendleton, what they want for the town, what they want to do to make it better, there's no worry about where this town is going.
We live in the house on the hill, which is called Parker Hill. To the locals, it is the house on the haunted hill. And we got the home several years ago when we were out
traveling around Pendleton. My husband's a contractor. And so we saw this wonderful house on the hill. And so we thought, wow, if we could just get that and restore that, that would be a wonderful project. When we took possession of the home, we had to completely restore it, which means new electrical, new plumbing, new furnaces. All the woodwork was in wonderful shape because it had been unoccupied for 40 years, so it was just dirty. It just needed to be cleaned up. The house has 14 rooms, four bathrooms. It has a big walk-in attic. And we're still working on it, always working on it. My good friend Helen Resky wrote a poem about the house on the hill before we purchased it many years ago.
The old place. There's an old place high up on the hill. It sits there like a queen without a crown. She contemplates her former kingdom and waits for her prince to return. With closed eyes, she remembers her youth, filled with laughing children and happy folks. Parties, crinolines and calling cards, tea in the afternoon in sun-filled rooms. Why did you leave me, my love, she pines. You served me well in return. Did you tire of me as I aged? Did another more youthful lady turn your head? But yet you hold me in a prison, so another cannot have me. Please return and free me from your selfish grip, so that once again I may love another. I am still young at heart. I can still be beautiful. I still want to protect and serve. Please return and free me from your selfish grip.
We've lived there for 29 years. The original builder of the home was George W. Parker, and he was a colonel in the Civil War. And he has a wonderful career. He was a farmer, he owned a warehouse, and he was a two-term sheriff of Marion County. He died in the upstairs bedroom, which actually has his name inscribed on the wall. It says Colonel Parker on it. I don't feel like the house is haunted, but my kids will tell you differently. When our son Joshua was 5 years old, he came into our bedroom. It must have been about 2 o'clock in the morning, and he was crying. I said, Joshua, what's wrong? And he says, well, I saw a man. And I said, you saw a man? And I said, tell me what you saw. And he said, I saw a man in a blue suit. It had shiny buttons all over it, and he had a beard, and he had white hair. And automatically I thought, well, that sounds like Colonel Parker. So I said, Joshua, that's wonderful. And he just kind of looks at me like, Mom, you're kind of crazy. There's this man hanging over me on my bed. And I said, no. I said, that's Colonel Parker, and he's a good person. He had 3 children of his own. He was a sheriff. He protected people. I said, he was just checking up on you. The locals believe that it is haunted, and so we ordered a pizza earlier in our time of restoring that. We had moved in at that time. And the pizza delivery guy came up, and I asked him to come in, step into the kitchen, and he says, oh no, that house is haunted. And I looked at him and I said, this house isn't haunted. And I said, just come on in. And he absolutely refused to come in. We've never had a trick-or-treater up there, never. We've been there all those years. When we looked at it, we didn't actually see what everybody else were seeing. We were seeing something that we felt like it could be. And of course it is. It's completely different from what it was, but it's exactly what we envisioned it to be.
Back in 1988, we were aware that some of our old historic buildings were being torn down. And so 4 other ladies and I sat and talked, and we commiserated. And we thought, well, we needed to make a bold statement because we are located between Anderson and Indianapolis, and we're sitting almost on top of I-69. So it's easy to come and go, and we knew we wanted to preserve our town because we all loved it. Finally, on the hottest day in 1988, August 8th, 1988, we decided we were going to be an organization. And we called ourselves Historic Fall Creek Pendleton Settlement, which would reflect our pioneer days. Somebody suggested that we call Historic Landmarks Foundation of Indiana. It's now called Indiana Landmarks. And they sent a young man out, and he encouraged us to work to get on the National Register of Historic Places. We ran a home tour and earned enough money in that one home tour to hire a consultant. And she sat with us for days and studied and did research and took pictures, and she wrote our application. That was June 27th, 1991. We were actually listed in the National Register of Historic Places. I've always loved old buildings, and I didn't realize it when I was real young, but I realized that the reason I loved old buildings was because of their proportion, their beauty, their materials. And then when I came to this town and loved the old houses and saw a few things being torn down, that prompted me and inspired me to do something. And we did. Pendleton people have always loved their history. I mean, when we moved here, people would tell us things about our history. I mean, just conversation. It was very unusual to have that much interest in local history. Our 52 years of living in Pendleton has been a wonderful journey. We've raised our 3 sons here, and out of our 13 grandchildren, we have 5 or 6 that are still around in this community, and they carry their love of Pendleton with them wherever they go. We still have that feeling here in our local town that we want to stay Pendleton. We don't want to be Indianapolis. We want to be Pendleton, and I think that has been passed from one generation to another. And I think it's really, that's the part of the reason Pendleton is such an interesting town in which to live.
I'm here to talk about our Williams Homestead farm. That's the oldest farm in Madison County that's been owned by the same family, and it was settled in 1822. William Williams was traveling from North Carolina through Ohio. He camped one night where our farm is, and they loved it, so they stayed. Through the generations, my grandpa Ralph Williams came to own the farm, and Grandma Joy, and then my mother grew up there. Then my parents built a home on the farm, as did my aunt. And so currently we have 4 families that represent generations 6, 7, 8, and 9 living on the farm. William Williams came here as a fruit farmer. At some point, the fruit trees were gone. So in 1954, my grandpa Ralph Williams decided to replant the orchard, and he did that, and then he died in 1960, but he was able to eat some apples out of that orchard before he died. Then it was rejuvenated by Grandma Joy and her second husband, Melvin Henderson, and my parents, and they sold apples at the Heritage Fair and cider. The centerpiece of the farm is the homestead. It was built in 1884. It is built where the original log cabin was. My parents were married in the Methodist church in Pendleton, but their reception was held on the east side of our house. Lots of celebrations are held there because it just makes sense. If you're getting the whole family together, why not be in the homestead?
What an interesting story told by Pam Shug.
I love that story, and I especially love that last photo. How great was
it's adorable. Photos of 60s. That's a beautiful homestead with quite a family history. Hi, I'm Angie Rapp along with Michelle Kinsey, and we are just here for a few minutes to take a quick break from the Now Entering program. We are all about Pendleton tonight as we premiere Now Entering Pendleton. Give your city give your town a hand. Now Entering Pendleton is the second in our Now Entering series, and as you can see behind us, we're joined by just some of the great storytellers, the best ones, we think. The best storytellers are here in the studio tonight who are answering our phones and right here live in our studios having a lot of fun with us.
Absolutely, it's a great night. Now Entering gives local communities an opportunity to have a voice and to become visual storytellers. Working with WIPB, your friends and neighbors became the filmmakers. They do that by answering one question: why do you love your town? We had a great time partnering with Pendleton for this episode. We spent a day at the Pendleton Historical Museum getting to know the storytellers and their stories. It was so much fun to see the pride in each person when they spoke of their town. And WIPB takes great pride in being able to bring you quality local programs like Now Entering. Let's get those phones ringing, 800-252-9472. Let us know you're enjoying tonight's show. And when you call in, you can get your very own copy of Now Entering Pendleton. With your ongoing sustaining gift of $5 or a single annual gift of $60, we'll send you the DVD of Now Entering Pendleton. You'll be able to enjoy all the stories you saw tonight, plus bonus material featuring stories that did not make it into tonight's program, behind-the-scenes footage, and photos of production day at the Pendleton Historical Museum. For an ongoing sustaining gift of $9 or a single annual gift of $108, we will send you 2 DVDs of Now Entering Pendleton. Keep one for yourself and give one as a gift. Call now at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org to support your local PBS station, WIPB.
We're here celebrating the town of Pendleton, but there are all sorts of reasons to celebrate WIPB. From programs that inform, educate, and inspire, to safe children's programs, intelligent arts programs, to in-depth and unbiased news and information, and the very best in cultural and arts programming anywhere. What better way to support the station that can bring you such a diverse range of national and local programming than to make your contribution right now? Your gift right now, whether $40 or $100 or more, makes a real difference. Let's keep those phones ringing. We're doing a great job already. Just give us a call at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org. All night, we will be reading your name to say thank you when you call for supporting Pendleton and WIPB. So we have some people to thank,
We
right,
do already,
Michelle?
absolutely.
All right, let's jump in here.
Yep.
Cindy says hi to Pam and Steve and Grandma, Marilyn and Grandpa Jim.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for calling in. We've got a thank you to Kara and Karma. Thank you so much for calling in your support for WIPB and Now Entering Pendleton.
And Barbara Mercer, Board of Director.
Ooh.
And Kyla Wilson. Thank you, Kyla. And Karma Meyer. Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
A big thank you to Scott Reski. Thank you so much for calling in. Leona Anderson. Thank you so much for your support. Jeanette Isabel. Thank you so much for calling in. And Joyce Ohm, Norma's friend, gave us a call and showed her support for Now Entering Pendleton. Thank you so much. And Scott Cochran wants to say George is a great guy. We couldn't agree more.
George is a great
Way
guy.
to go, Judge.
And he's one of only 2 men that are here in the studio tonight.
That's right.
The women are ruling the world.
That's right.
But Kathy told me that the women run Pendleton, so
That's
I
right.
guess that's just par for the course.
That's right.
So thank you so much to everyone who's shown up. Thank you also to Carrie Butler. And get this, Michelle.
What?
Caroline Leonard in Philadelphia called in. So she's probably streaming at WIPB.org, or she may even be watching the Facebook Live that we're streaming right now.
How awesome is that? I know. That is wonderful. So if you haven't called your friends yet, call them now and tell them to tune in. The population of Pendleton is more than 4,000, and we would love to get as many of your names on air tonight as we can. So we challenge you to call in at 800-252-9472 to support not only your hometown, but your local PBS station, WIPB. As we get more and more calls, you may get a busy signal, but don't let that discourage you. Try back in a few minutes, and one of our great Pendleton volunteers will answer the phone to take your call. Or you can go online to our secure website at WIPB.org and donate online.
Now, if you're not a member of WIPB, we hope that tonight is the night you may be inspired to join us. And it really only takes a few minutes. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call 800-252-9472. Now, the phones are ringing off the hook. I want to just tell you, if you get a busy signal, if you don't get through, be patient. Try back in a few minutes, or you can go online to WIPB.org and enter your gift that way. Just show your commitment to excellent public television that really does make a difference. If you make a gift of support in any amount, several of our members have issued a new member challenge and are willing to match your gift dollar for dollar.
Are you up for the challenge? These WIPB members are. For every new member, your contribution will be matched dollar for dollar. It's easy. All you have to do is call or go online to become a WIPB member. And for every gift of support, WIPB will receive a matching gift from one of our current members. What are you waiting for? Take the new member challenge today so WIPB can continue to bring you the programs you love.
Thank you so much to all of our members who are a part of the new member challenge, and thanks to you for becoming a member tonight. We're going to have a few more names of people to thank, but they're all on the phone right now, so I haven't been handed any new names. We'll get those in a few minutes when we get those phone calls taken care of, so stay tuned for that. We've seen some great stories already tonight, and we have some of the Pendleton storytellers with us in the studio answering the phones. Now let's go over to Michelle to talk to just one more of our storytellers.
Joining me now is Sherry Borum, and Sherry, you might recognize her, told a story at the beginning of our program about the arts. Sherry, first, thank you so much for coming into the studios tonight and helping us out.
Wonderful. Isn't this a wonderful program?
It is a wonderful, and it is kind of a party in here, isn't it?
It is a party.
It's a good time. Lots of people calling in, lots of friends calling in. Yeah. Sherry, tell me why you chose the arts as something you were passionate about, something you wanted to tell a story about.
Well, actually, the arts have always been a part of my life from a wee child, but it was the musical arts. I was raised by a musical family, and so I had to play along. And so, but I always wanted to make things.
Sure.
So then as I got married and had children and then got past all those kinds of early adulthood things, then I found ways to express myself in visual arts. And I just have learned through my own experiences and then other people's experiences, and then just paying attention that art helps people get through the good times and the bad times.
Absolutely.
And then the surprising times, because sometimes you make art that you're not even aware that you're capable of. And everyone can make art, so I think it really touches everybody's life.
The arts community really seems to be thriving in Pendleton. Do you think it's had a positive impact overall on the community?
Yes, I do. And especially the new Gallery 119 Community Arts. This is a gallery that was started by the Pendleton Artists Society, and we've been in the gallery now almost 3 years.
Wow.
And I can see a difference in the traffic in town and the number of people coming in, and there's just one more wonderful thing for them to see when they come in Pendleton. They can go to the stores, they can go to the restaurants, but they can come and see art, and we have art in there all the time.
And I understand you have a really interesting exhibit going on right now.
We do, and it's called the Blend Show. And one of the most exciting things is that we have this 5.5-foot tall woman made out of wood and bed springs and faucets and paint and all kinds of things, and she's standing right in the window. So I would encourage everyone to go take a look at Abstract Annie. She is a beauty.
I love the name, and I love the fact that if I don't know where I'm going, I'm just going to look for this lady in a window with a faucet for an eye, faucet for a nose.
Well, she's got a drain. She's got a copper fitting for a nose, and then a couple of faucets. So you know, if her nose starts to run, you turn the faucet.
I love it.
So there's a lot of art, and there's a lot of humor involved in that.
That's wonderful. Now, you like Katie Burke, who we talked to earlier, you are a double storyteller this evening. So you have a story coming up later in the program, and what is that story about? Can you give us a little preview?
Okay, that's about my life on on State Street, which is the main drag in Pendleton, right? And so, growing up on the west side of town, I was about as far as you could get in town from the school. So every day I walked that whole distance between home and school, and I got to the point where I knew every crack in the sidewalk. I know every bump that I should not skate over because I would fall, and some of them are still there after all this time.
Wow.
Yeah, right. I even have a little bit of cinders in my knee from the alley, from my bike accident, from the alley between Franklin Street and Main Street.
Yes.
No, West Street. Yeah, right.
Well, I think for so many people, whether you live in Pendleton or not, you're going to relate to the State Street story, because if you were fortunate enough to live, you know, in a neighborhood in a small town, you're going to have a State Street, aren't you?
A State Street, yes,
Yeah.
right, and ours is a good one.
Yeah.
And I do list a lot of things that I did on State Street in the video piece, but I thought of some more things that I didn't even include, like I went to the dentist on State Street. Of
course.
I went to the doctor on State Street. I went to funerals on State Street. I had dance lessons on State Street. I had Girl Scout meetings on
Wow.
State Street. So I mean, just about everything important that happened in my life happened right there on State Street.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It should be called Sherry Street then.
Well,
shouldn't it?
no.
Sherry
It's
Boren
everybody.
Street?
No.
We're not-
Actually, the where I grew up, the house I grew up in, was on property that was owned for several generations of my family. So, you know, when I go by that corner right now, after all these years, I feel that sense of history.
Well, we cannot thank you enough for sharing your stories with us, with WIPB, and now with everyone watching. So thank you so much,
Well, you're welcome.
Sherry.
It's been fun.
Angie?
Thanks, Michelle, and I have a lot more thank yous to get to here. I promised you I would, and I'm going to right now. So Joy Wood says, I am very proud of our community. It's such a great place to live. Ron Bernhardt is my boss. I like working for him. We're missing Ron tonight. He's not here. That's too bad. Matt Eldridge called in. He wanted to say hi to his kids, Trimmer, Gator, and Maddie. Those are fantastic names. Hi, kids. Don't stay up too late. And then we have Sarah Hauser. Great job, Community Foundation Board, she says. And then from Lana Evans, Nana and Pop Pop say hi to Hallie and Hank. Oh, I love these names. I know, I love that. Now, don't forget, we do have a great thank you gift offering tonight when you call in at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org. With your ongoing sustaining gift of just $5 or a single annual gift of $60, we'll send you the DVD of Now Entering Pendleton. You'll be able to enjoy all the stories you saw tonight, plus bonus material featuring stories that didn't make it into the show. Behind-the-scenes footage and photos of production day at the Pendleton Historical Museum, and footage of the studio on our special night tonight. So that's a great bonus. And then for an ongoing sustaining gift of just $9 or a single annual gift of $108, we'll send you 2 DVDs of the Now Entering Pendleton program. Keep one for yourself and give one as a gift. That's a great idea.
Great idea.
Call now at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org to support your local station, WIPB. When you're with WIPB, you know there's always something amazing coming up next. It's a special commitment to sharing the world. It's an irreplaceable service in communities across the country. But the fact is, television that has the power to share the world also has real-world costs. These costs are largely funded by people just like you and me stepping up generously to make sure WIPB continues to thrive. Give now to make sure that the best in news, culture, science, history, drama, and local programs stay strong right where they belong, right here on WIPB. Call 800-252-9472 or go online again at WIPB.org and just click the donate button to make your gift of support.
One of the great things about this series is it celebrates the wonderful stories in East Central Indiana, the history, the school spirit, the people. Every town certainly has its stories, and we've already heard some great ones from Pendleton. Coming up, we'll learn about an outdoor learning lab, a popular principal, and the Spring Valley Quilt Guild.
But first,
yes,
let's thank some more people. I actually just have one. Would you like to read this one?
Of course.
I just read a bush.
Uh-oh. Former Pendleton resident, thank you so much for calling in, William Stewart. That's fantastic.
Thanks,
and what is
William.
this business I see back here with the sign that George was, who needs to call in, George? Kurt. Kurt, you better call.
George is the judge,
They keep,
right?
look at, see?
Look.
You really can't You better call.
He's
When
the
the judge is
right?
telling you to call, you've got to call,
Judge
right?
George.
That's right.
Kasparovic.
I think that's an order.
I think so too.
Yeah. And
So
we've
it
got
is
a
written,
lot of
so it
people
shall be
on the
done.
phone right now, so we will get to these names, right, in just a little bit.
That's right.
So now let's get back to a story about life as a middle schooler with Chloe Erdus. Spoiler alert, it's a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Chloe Erdus. I'm a 6th grader in Pendleton Intermediate School, and I live here in Pendleton. I've lived here for about a year and a half now. My favorite thing about Pendleton would probably be the sidewalks, because we have 2 dogs and we walk our dogs a lot around in the summertime. But when school gets, I walk to school every morning, and when school starts, I walk with my friend, and I really enjoy the sidewalks. I like the REACH program at my school. That's the high ability class that I'm in. I think it really does challenge me as a student. I also like my friends at my school. I think they're really fun to be around, and I like my teachers. They're very encouraging. Well, there's a lot of after-school programs at my school. I'm in drama club, and they have a basketball team for the 6th graders. Lots of 6th grade stuff you can do, and you can also do lots of stuff in 3rd and 4th grade. Like, I'm also in student council right now. And they do fun things during weekends. The town does, I think last weekend they had a cultural fair, where people could come down in the park and people were selling things. And of course they have the June Jamboree every year after school lets out. And that's really enjoyable because it's fun for the kids, and the adults it might not be as fun for the adults, but the kids really enjoy the rides. Well, my favorite thing would probably be to go to the pool, Brown's Pool, with my friends. My mom normally takes me and my friends down there. Sometimes we'll meet with my cousins. They live in Greenfield. And we also like to go to Snow Castle. My mom will take me there. I think most kids would probably like the ice cream shop, because that's what we talk about, and we talk about the donut shop. We like the park as well because it's got that nice playground, and the falls are really nice, and it's just really pretty to be in Pendleton. I go to sleepovers with my friend in the winters most of the time, and there's this giant hill at my school on the playground, and sometimes I'll go sledding down there, or I visit my grandma a lot in the winter. So, yeah, it's not boring. We do lots of things in Pendleton.
I would like to tell the story of the Spring Valley Quilt Guild, which I'm president of right now. The mission statement for the Spring Valley Quilt Guild is to help support the museum by raising money, and then also in turn they help us by letting us have our quilt show at this museum. And some of the board members help hang the quilts and so forth. So it's a win-win for both of us. We've donated around $40,000 so far. We had to cancel the quilt show in 2003 because of a flood, and the water was up to the back door, and I think maybe over the porch. So the fire department and people in the community all came together, loaded sandbags, and sandbagged all around, and in a couple days it receded, and you would have never known except for just some of the debris laying around. We have very good programs that talk about quilting, or we might have someone from a quilt shop come and tell us and show us some of the newest fabric, and we're all excited about new fabric and new patterns and so forth. When it was the Quilt Guild's 25th anniversary, which would have been 10 years ago, we all decided to make quilt blocks. We did it all year long, and different people picked a block and did it, and each block had 25 units. This year we did a bicentennial quilt, and you could pick which blocks you wanted to do, and so a lot of us did that. and mine happens to be red, white, and blue in batiks. We donate baby quilts to Riley Hospital, and I think so far this year we've donated around 100. We buy flannel and different kinds of children's fabric, then make those quilts, and then one of our members or a couple people take those to Riley. Our quilts of valor are usually patriotic quilts. They're usually red, white, and blue, and some of the women make them on their own. Sometimes we used to get together at the community building and work on them. Some of the early years, we took them to Washington, D.C., to the Veterans Hospital there. Then the last time or two, we gave the quilts out in Madison County. We've made at least 100 quilts of valor, and different people volunteer to quilt them after they're all pieced and put together. So we feel like we've done our part.
My name is Katie Craig Burke, and I want to tell you something about my dad, who was obviously very special to me, but he was also very special to this community. He was sitting on the floor in the Sigma Chi house at Purdue University when Pearl Harbor was bombed, and that was the beginning of his service. My dad served in World War II as a Marine on Iwo Jima. And if you know anything about Iwo Jima, it was brutal. Not many survived. There's a book written about him by my cousin John Shively called The Last Lieutenant, because on Iwo Jima, he went in with several others, and at the end, he was the last lieutenant alive. So his story on Iwo Jima is epic. You know, it's a big deal. And he went through that. He interrupted his education at Purdue to join the Marines and serve. He came back to Pendleton. He put all that behind him. He didn't talk about it. He didn't shy away from it, but he didn't talk about it. He just moved on with his life, as so many of the people from World War II did. They just went about doing what they were supposed to do. Finished his degree. He came back to Pendleton, and he owned the Pendleton Lumber Company. And he started the first Chamber of Commerce in Pendleton. He was a civic leader. He was instrumental in the building of Brown Pool. He was just instrumental in lots of things. From the lumber company, he went to the Savings and Loan. And there, I remember at my dad's funeral, so many people, and still to this day, say, "Your dad helped me buy my first house. If it wasn't for your dad, I would never have been able to buy my first house." Just really cool stories. He was a Little League umpire, volunteered his time with Boy Scouts. He was active in the church, in Masons, Lions Club. He'll always be my hero, but I think he's a hero to a lot of people around here because he did serve his country, and he just came back and made a life here in Pendleton. And he always supported Pendleton, was always very generous. When he retired from real estate, he volunteered at the hospital as a red coach, and did that up until the week that he died. The week that he died, he went to Purdue University and spoke to a class about his experience on Iwo Jima. He and Mom donated his Foot Locker to the museum. And again, the book, written by John Shively, called The Last Lieutenant, is a great story. It's a great keepsake for us, but so many people have read it and have been really changed by it. He loved this town. He loved walking to the post office. He loved the smallness, the size. He didn't want the interstates and the hotels, and he loved the size and family.
Pendleton schools have always been a very important part of our family. Both my husband and myself have great-grandparents that were in the Pendleton schools on down through. Everybody's been through there since then. And now our great-grandchildren, we have 5 great-grandchildren that are starting in Pendleton schools right now. I was a teacher for 29 years. When I retired, they were starting outdoor labs, and I asked the principal, I said, would it be all right if I would work on the outdoor lab? And I've directed the outdoor lab now for 23 years. This is my 24th year. We have a lot of opportunities for kids. We have a greenhouse we got through a grant. We have 29 planting beds, and they get to work out in those. They get to work in the greenhouse. And our outdoor lab has been very successful because the community has supported the outdoor lab. The staff at school has supported the outdoor lab. It's been very successful, and in fact, in 2003, we were named the best outdoor lab in the state of Indiana. Just a couple weeks ago, we were digging potatoes out of the outdoor beds.
Oh, they've got a lot of good potatoes.
So many of the kids don't even realize the potatoes come out of the ground. They get them in the grocery store. So it's just fun to see their faces when they realize some of the things that they've never known about the outdoors.
When I grew up and got married, we got a home. We rented the home from Ross and Elizabeth. That was Mr. Jackson and his wife. They lived right next door. Ross Jackson, he was my principal. He started as a principal, I believe, in 1949, maybe, about in that time. So when I started to school, he was a 6'3" gentleman, and he had a lot of authority about him because he was so tall, and I was very young then, so it seemed like, he was kind of scary at the time. Mr. Jackson was very firm. You had no doubts this man was in control and in authority at school. But having said that, he was not a rigid person outside of school. He was he was fun. And we rented our home from them. And then after about a year, we bought the home from them. And so from that point until the time both of them passed, we were very good friends with them. They had no children, so we, in essence, were their family. Our kids were their grandkids. They took our kids on vacations. They taught me kids to play piano, play poker, and took them rides in the Model A car that he had. They were wonderful neighbors, and we took care of them, and they took care of us. The first day of my kids going to school, Elizabeth had little jelly jars that we used for juice jars, and they would go over there every first day of school and have orange juice and have pictures taken. And they did that all through college. And then we even started that with our grandchildren from that point on. And after Ross had passed and then Elizabeth was remaining there and she was in the nursing home, we took the jelly jars down, which my daughter to this day still has the jelly jars, and we took the jelly jars down as my grandkids started school and had juice with Elizabeth at the nursing home. Since then, carried on the tradition just with my husband and myself. It was a wonderful tradition with our neighbors.
My church is Pendleton First United Methodist Church. In 1820, about 6 men came to this area from Springfield, Ohio. And they were looking for farmland and water power and a place to make new lives. And they found here in the falls the largest waterfalls in central Indiana. And so they settled here, built simple cabins. And then in May of that year, one of the men, Elias Hollingsworth, went back to Springfield and brought his wife back, Elizabeth. And she was the first white woman in what became Madison County. And they had a child who was the first white child born in Madison County. By 1823, several of them got together and decided they were of similar religious persuasion. And so they started meeting together in one another's homes. And they were noted for piety and strict rules of propriety, I guess you would say. And they met. Their services consisted of prayer and Bible study, and they would speak themselves about what was on their hearts. Well, Pendleton was not part of a circuit yet, and so, but on occasion, itinerant circuit riders would come through. And in 1829, one did come through who was named Asa Beck, and at that point, Pendleton was part of a circuit again. And so actually we have a record of all of our pastors from 1829 up through the present. It's been a continuous progression. One of the first charter members was Thomas Pendleton, for whom the Pendleton was named, and he recorded 160 acres of land in the area of the falls. And in 1830, he set aside a lot on Water Street, what I assume it was Water Street then also, for the use of the Methodists. And in 1832, they built a log cabin there, and they stopped meeting in one another's homes and met then in the log cabin church. In 1839, the log cabin church had become too small, and so they built a new frame church, which was quite large, 40 by 60 feet at that time, a frame church on the same location where they'd had the log cabin. In 1904, a pastor came here who began to initiate the idea of building a new church. And our people bought a lot over at the corner of West and State Streets and left the frame church there and built a new red brick Gothic church on the new lot. It was dedicated in 1906. In 1968, we decided to tear down the red brick Gothic church and build a new building, and that's where we are now. Later, we added, more recently, I think about 2005, we added on the atrium in the back and completely remodeled the educational wing. One of the things with the community that is interesting is that community-wide, we had an Easter pageant each year for several years through about the 1970s, 1980s. It was very well attended, and it brought the whole community together. There are other instances where the community has met together with other churches on occasion too. In 1989, we began the Friendly Flock preschool, and that's been very widely accepted. It's grown by leaps and bounds. The list goes on, and the workings of the church, the worship that we do goes on, and it's our firm hope and prayer that we continue on into the future as we have in the past. And right now our motto, we welcome all people to join with us to connect, grow, serve, and commit to Jesus Christ.
Wow, Nancy loves her church, and she is a walking history book.
That is no joke. When we were interviewing her, when she was doing the narration at the Historical Museum, she had so much knowledge of that church and the history of that church, just rolls off the tongue. She knew everything about that church. What a wonderful part of the community that church is.
Absolutely, she's a treasure.
She certainly is.
Speaking of some treasures, we have more people to thank, Michelle. We want to say thank you to Chris Gardner, who donated in memory of his dad, Lanny Gardner. So thank you, Chris, and wonderful memory of your dad.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much to everyone who has called in. And we should point out that we have a challenge. Angie, yes. Do you remember just a few minutes ago, we were talking about Kurt and how Kurt hasn't called in and how someone wanted Kurt to call? Right. Well, someone named Jeff Barger has called and has a matching challenge. So he's donated. He has contributed to WIPB and Now Entering Pendleton. And now he's saying, Kurt, you better pick up the phone. So now that's two people who are saying you better call. This is getting pretty serious.
Let's hear it.
So there is a challenge from Jeff Barger and the judge, which really, if you didn't call when the judge said call.
Who doesn't do what the judge
Woo!
says? I don't
That's
understand
right.
it. Now, we moved into the phone bank. It should be noted. We
Yes.
moved into the phone bank because there was a message from Pendleton that they wanted to see the lovely ladies in the front row.
Yeah.
We were blocking them. So we have Suzanne here, and we have Debbie, and we have Kathy, and now we have Sherry,
Yes.
who's moved up to the
Yes.
front. Behind me, we have Helen, and Katie, and Norma, and George, the judge, the Honorable George, and then Sandy and her husband, James. So we're having, and George is getting called.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what's going on. George is ruling the roost tonight.
Listen, we cannot thank the storytellers who came here tonight enough. They, not only did they tell their stories, but then they came here tonight to help with the phone bank and take all of your calls at home, and all the people that are watching at all the different parties and activities and things going on in Pendleton tonight, or if you're just kicking it on your couch at home, everybody that is watching tonight. These are the people taking your calls, and we really just cannot thank you enough for being here.
Absolutely.
Uh-oh. Well, what's
have another match. If Kurt calls in, they'll match.
Oh, no.
We have
Listen,
another match for Kurt.
We have another match. So someone else
I don't
has
know where
called
you are,
in.
Kurt.
From the Gustons.
The Gustons.
The Gustons are now saying they're challenging you, Kurt. So now there are 2 challenges, and the judge. Seriously, the judge said call.
I think you better call.
So I think. So.
Uh-oh.
I think Kurt's wife is on the phone.
Leave it to the woman.
This is like a soap opera. I am loving this. So we will keep following it. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you that I'm Michelle Kinsey, Community Engagement Coordinator for WIPB, and I'm joined by Angie Rapp, the Marketing Manager at WIPB, and we are so excited to be able to share the stories of Pendleton with you tonight. And with us, as we said before, are the storytellers from Pendleton waiting to take your calls. The number is 800-252-9472. And when you call in, we will read your name on the air to thank you for, you listening, Kurt? For helping make a difference in our community by supporting WIPB and the local programming we love to bring you each and every day.
Our world is filled with never-ending wonders that amaze, surprise, and delight. For decades, since 1971 to be precise, WIPB has been committed to bringing it all home to you. Because when it comes to serving you with great public television, our purpose is clear. It's to be an invaluable source of news, ideas, and inspiration. Please help ensure that there will always be a seamless, endless supply of brilliant, community-centered programs right here on WIPB. Call 800-252-9472 or just go online to WIPB.org. And when you do, you'll get your very own copy of Now Entering Pendleton. In fact, when you give a gift of $5 ongoing sustaining or a single annual gift of $60, we'll send you the DVD of Now Entering Pendleton. You'll also be able to enjoy all the stories you saw tonight, plus bonus material that didn't make it into the show. Behind-the-scenes footage and photos of production day at the Pendleton Historical Museum are included, and pictures from tonight from the event right here in the studio. We're having a great time. For an ongoing sustaining gift of just $9 or a single annual gift of $108, we'll send you 2 DVDs of Now Entering Pendleton. Keep one for yourself and give one for a gift. I love that idea. Call now at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org to support your local station, WIPB. Now, we want to remind you that Now Entering Pendleton is also live online at WIPB.org. So if you know friends or family who can't get WIPB, call them now and let them know they can catch it online no matter where they are. It's wonderful when people watch us online because then we get calls from all over the country from folks who have a special connection to Pendleton. Maybe they have a fond memory of visiting relatives for the holidays or growing up in this friendly East Central Indiana town. Now they can enjoy the stories of their friends and neighbors right here on WIPB. Right now, we need you to call in at 800-252-9472 and show your pride of Pendleton and WIPB so we can continue to bring you programs like Now Entering, the series that you're watching tonight. You can also go online at that website we've been talking about. It's WIPB.org.
Okay.
Many will recognize Caitlin Evans from her More Than Conquers story. What made you want to tell that particular story, Caitlin?
When I spend so much time with the kids, I get to know them, and I know that there can be a concern about the younger generation, or what's going to happen. Sure. But since I get to see them so much, I knew that this town is fine because those kids are wonderful. They're better than I ever was at that age.
So what do you get out of More Than Conquers?
As a leader and a founder with two other girls, Esta and Katie, we really just get so much life from the kids.
Sure.
You can be having a bad day and you go to the after school program and those kids are just, you're there for them, but really they give you just as much. So our volunteers have even said that too. Like if I have a bad day, I'm just glad that I get to go hang out at MTC after school because the kids are just so much fun.
Absolutely, that's wonderful. Now I understand that you left Pendleton for a while, didn't you? And you came back.
I did.
What is it? What is it about
I don't
Pendleton?
know. I literally went around the world. I lived in China for a while.
Wow.
I lived in Europe, and then I came back. So it really was just the size of the town is really great. I lived in these really big cities, and there is something different about being in a small place and just having people that have known you since you were little is just really special.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the town on a weekend. What do you do if you're hanging out in Pendleton?
Well, it depends on your age. I guess in high school, I was really big into sports, so I would just hang out with whatever team I was on.
Sure.
And then as you get older, say like your 20s, there are things to do. People don't believe that, but there is things to do. So like there
are some great restaurants.
Yeah, there's the Stable, which is a really great hangout. And we actually, as More Than Conquerors, we host trivia nights there.
Oh,
and
wow.
That's a really fun place. And the library's awesome. That sounds weird, but the library's super cool.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
We actually had our town meeting at the library, and that is a beautiful library.
And the park is amazing. For running or just walking your dog or just taking, I'd like to take my niece and nephews there and just play with them.
So where do you see the future of More Than Conquers? How do you see it growing, evolving, changing? What would you like to see happen with?
We would love to be in more communities, especially smaller ones around Pendleton, and even just continued growth and just to have just a little version of our after school program in many communities. And we'd also just love to see our kids grow up and just to see where they go and what happens and just follow them as they continue to hang out in Pendleton.
How many of them do you think are tuned in tonight? Do you think they're enjoying watching
I
themselves?
hope so, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so they talked about it, they were excited, and we've been talking about it for the past few months, and they're super excited, so I hope you guys watched.
Well, we were very excited to have you come and share that story with us. So thank you so much, Caitlin, for being a part of Now Entering Pendleton.
Thanks.
Remember, you can get your very own DVD copy of Now Entering Pendleton. Just give us a call at 800-252-9472. With your ongoing sustaining gift of $5 or a single annual gift of just $60, we'll send you the DVD of Now Entering Pendleton. You'll be able to enjoy all the stories you saw tonight, plus bonus material featuring stories that did not make it into tonight's program, behind-the-scenes footage and photos of production day at the Pendleton Historical Museum, and the stuff from the studio tonight. And it has been a party. It's getting wild in here. For an ongoing sustaining gift of $9 or a single annual gift of $108, we will send you 2 DVDs of Now Entering Pendleton. Keep one for yourself, give one as a gift. Call now at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org to support your local PBS station, WIPB. We have more thank yous?
We do, and I'm going to jump in. I'll give you a second to take your breath.
Okay.
Because we've had so many comments on the Facebook Live feed that I wanted to read.
Fantastic.
Tazwell Timmy says, I've been waiting on this all week. Jasmine Hirschberger says, so proud of my hometown.
Oh.
Aaron Hirschberger says, yay, P-Town.
Love that.
Love that.
Why did we not know that that's what it was called?
I
That's
knew.
fantastic.
Tara Schuyler? Tara Schuyler says, oh, Pendleton. Missy Williamson Hop says, love my hometown. Judy Stone says, love this. My mom was born in Pendleton, and maternal grandparents and maternal and paternal great-grandparents farmed in Pendleton.
Wonderful.
Ruth Ann Holt says, what an awesome presentation. Kathy Rogers says, home sweet Pendleton. Ellen Martinez says, watching from Brooklyn.
Whoa!
Pendleton will always be home. And Kathy Rogers says, watching from Largo, Florida. So thank you all for watching on the Facebook live stream. And you have a lot of people there to hang.
We do. Is that Hayden
and Clark.
Wonderful. The McClintocks say hello.
Hello.
Hello. To the panel, I'm sure, not just to us.
No.
So hello, the McClintocks say hello, not just to Angie and I, but to everyone here, right? We kind of like just took that all on ourselves, didn't we?
We're honorary
hello.
citizens.
Yeah, I know. Rayma Glover, thank you so much for calling in your support from Pendleton. Let's see. Is that Lauren?
Yep.
And Becky Skinner?
Yep.
Oh, used to be the principal at the high school. Well, hello, thank you so much for calling in. Ashley Augustin and Kathy Pasco, thank you so much for supporting WIPP. What?
Yep.
Is this for real?
Yeah.
Am I reading this correctly?
It's real, right? You can verify.
What?
Kurt called.
Everyone, Kurt has called. Let's just stop what we're doing for a moment. Kurt has called. Thank you, Kurt.
No, George says his work is done.
Wow. George, the judge is calling you tonight. What?
Oh, his wife.
Okay, wait a minute. He was
too shy.
Kurt said he was too shy to call,
So
so
once
his
again,
wife
the women
called.
are coming forward.
We'll let that slide this time, Kurt. Thank you so much for calling in your support of Now Entering Pendleton. Well, this is great, and we've got more people, as you can see. More people are on the phone. If you call and you get like a busy signal or you can't get through, keep trying. Or go to WIPB.org, secure server situation there. You can get it all taken care of right there on our website, correct?
Correct.
So many people were instrumental in making this project a success, getting the word out in town, hosting a town hall, all kinds of things. We spent a day in Pendleton interviewing our storytellers at the beautiful Pendleton Historical Museum. Community members collected photos and videos, and our producer, Sam Clemens, with assistance from several staff members, put it all together. It is truly a community effort, and we want you to be a part of what keeps programs like this right here on WIPB. We have several people who have called in already tonight in support of WIPB in Pendleton, and we want to say, well, we did. We said a big thank you, and now guess what? It's your turn. If you haven't called in, please do it right now.
And I actually have more Facebook Live comments to read.
love
I can't
these.
keep up
Yes.
with them. I know. Okay, Missy Williamson Hops is watching from Brooksville, Florida. We're liking that.
Fantastic. Hello, Florida.
Ben Flesher, my mother-in-law taught for years in Pendleton.
Wonderful.
Laura Prater watching in Dora, Missouri, Indiana raised. Love it.
Missouri?
Lori Prater says Pendleton is a great community. Judy Flatt says, watching from Nashville, Tennessee. I was born and raised in this special town. Love this program on my hometown.
Wonderful.
Misty Borum Adams says, watching my Aunt Sherry answer the phone. Say Sherry. Milana
Yes.
Luttrell. Hello, friends. Scott Cochran. Woot woot. Hey from Georgia. Milana Luttrell says, Kurt has called. I repeat, Kurt has called. Liking that. Judy Hutzler says, I love my hometown. Chloe Clark says, hello. My friend told me to post this. Okay, we're fine with that. Let's see, Audra McNeil Dittlinger says, watching from Starbucks while I work. Hi, Matt Wright. And Mary Filburn says, love Pendleton. I think I've caught up again.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is fantastic. That is a lot of people watching. We thank you so much for watching Now Entering Pendleton, and we thank you for calling in your support. If you haven't, there's still time.
Oh, we have plenty of time.
Still time, so go ahead and do that. We have the great volunteers from Pendleton with us tonight, and you are keeping them very busy with your calls of support. If you call in and get a busy signal, just try back in a few minutes. Or you can always go online to WIPB.org. Oh, and don't forget our little hashtag.
Oh, right.
Hashtag Now Entering Pendleton. Put it everywhere so that people know that you're watching and loving Pendleton tonight.
This just in, Kurt's daughter has called. So all of Kurt's family is now feeling guilty about poor Kurt being a slacker. So now Beth Humphrey from Pendleton has called. So thank you so much, Beth. The Now Entering program is a new local production produced right here at WIPB, and it's just our way of connecting with the communities we serve in East Central Indiana. Tonight's show is only the second in our series, but we will be out visiting more towns. Is a spoiler alert? And getting more stories from all over the state this year. In fact, we're excited to announce. Is this it? Are we announcing? Michelle, would you like to do the honors? I feel like I should let you do the honors.
We could probably do it together.
Shall we?
Our next town will be
Knightstown! So Knightstown, we are coming to you next. Isn't that exciting? Yeah! If your town is interested in being a part of the Now Entering series, we want you to let us know. We love having a project that connects us even more to our communities. And the Now Entering project has been a great way for us to make new friends and get new members for this station. And tonight we have a special new member challenge from current WIPB members. Easy for me to say. If you call in and become a new member tonight, your gift will be matched dollar for dollar.
Wow.
Okay. And let's see.
Are you up for the challenge? These WIPB members are. For every new member, your contribution will be matched dollar for dollar. It's easy. All you have to do is call or go online to become a WIPB member. And for every gift of support, WIPB will receive a matching gift from one of our current members. What are you waiting for? Take the new member challenge today so WIPB can continue to bring you the programs you love.
All right, Michelle, we've got to get back to those great stories now. Let's see. I believe we are going to be getting on an ambulance run.
Yes, we are going on an ambulance run thanks to the Rookie EMT program.
All right.
Sigma Phi Gamma sorority, specifically Mu chapter of Sigma Phi Gamma International sorority, was formed in Pendleton in 1925. If you look into the matriarchs from this community way back since 1925, you'll probably know that they are Sigma Phi Gammas. We meet once a month and we do service projects, and for instance, the split rail fence that's outside this building was donated from our chapter. So we've given scholarships over the years. We've done teas for the senior girls for about 10 years. We do help needy families with their utility bills, and we do the Christmas and Thanksgiving baskets and holiday helping hands and those sorts of things. We meet as a regional group once a year in February, and as a international sorority once a year in July. My story with Sigma Phi Gamma is my mother-in-law was part of this community. She moved here in 1941 and or thereabouts, and started teaching school. She was a second grade school teacher in Pendleton, and she joined the sorority, and so her friends, after she was deceased, her friends got together and invited me to be a member of the sorority, and since then my mother and my daughter have joined the sorority. So I have my mother-in-law's pin, which is very near and dear to me, and it'll go to my daughter when I'm gone. And so I just feel like Pendleton is a better place because of Sigma Phi Gamma.
I'd like to introduce you to George Doherty, one of our famous people from Pendleton. He was introduced very early to classical music by his parents, who fostered and nurtured that talent with music lessons, trips to concerts, even into New York for certain concerts and plays. Attending the Pendleton school system, he also was able to get the kind of support he needed. When he was 18 years old, He knew that there were other talented musicians in Pendleton and Madison County surrounding area, and he was able to organize and form an orchestra, and that for summers. So it was called the Pendleton Festival Symphony, and that symphony lasted for 10 summers. And during that time, they did not play in a high school gym or in a high school auditorium. They rented the historic Paramount Theater in Anderson. I think that ambitious venture with the Pendleton Festival Symphony gave him the confidence to launch his career. He won an Emmy on 2 occasions for his adaptation of the symphony Peter and the Wolf, and he co-wrote the script. They took not only live actors who were like Kirstie Alley, Lloyd Bridges, the young child star at that time from Sleepless in Seattle, and he brought that into a production, and again went with Chuck Jones, animator for Warner Brothers, to develop and the characters, animated characters for that production. He conducted seasonal productions. One I attended in Cincinnati, Ohio was with Julie Andrews, Christopher Plummer from The Sound of Music, Charlotte Church from England, and Westminster Choir and one of the London orchestras. And he toured city after city on a bus, and to envision Julie Andrews and stars of that caliber on a bus tour, they showed that they had a lot of confidence in his ability. He was hired to write the story of Chuck Jones as an animator, and the interesting thing on that responsibility was he got to work with people and interview people like Whoopi Goldberg, Steven Spielberg, Ronnie Howard, George Lucas. Everything he did was just developing those talents. The thing I think he's most renowned for is his Bugs Bunny series, and as I say, sporting a shirt of Bugs Bunny. They've had a 25-year relationship, and George took the concept of when he was little and he would watch cartoons on the movies, the background music was classical music, and so it just seemed the perfect fit. He was able to sign with Warner Brothers, get the cartoon segments, and so when you go to one of his concerts, you have the large screen over the orchestra, you have the live orchestra playing the scores that were the background music when children sat and watched those cartoons in the theater. One of the funny things I recall when he was doing a concert and they were interviewing him, and he's very humble, and he said, well, it's really quite easy. He said, I just raise my hands and they start playing. And he says, and I put my hands down and they stop. And I felt that was a very genuine, humble acknowledgement of, his gifts, his talents. I found it really interesting that the program said George Doherty resides in San Francisco for the last 15 years. And I thought, well, he resides in San Francisco, but his home is still here in Pendleton, literally and figuratively.
My full name is Faith Burmeister, maiden name Stoller, and I live on the ground that was purchased by my great-great-grandfather, Michael Stoller Sr., in 1854. I have researched my family history for many, many years. I kept running across small articles about an Indian massacre, and it was called the Fall Creek Massacre. The massacre happened March 22nd, 1824, at the banks of Deer Lick Creek. It was instigated by a man named Thomas Harper, who was an Indian hater, but he was not a resident of the township. They were peaceful Indians, and the white men of the area had visited the camp and talked to the Indians, and there was no problem, but this Harper instigated it. And the massacre happened there in Adams Township. The men were arrested immediately because there was just evidence and some witnesses that knew this is what had happened. Further violence was avoided by the help of Colonel Johnston. He contacted his friend William Connor, lives at Noblesville, the famed Connor Prairie Farm, And together they rode over the whole state of Indiana to tell the Indians this terrible thing has happened, but the main message is wait and let us take care of it and see that justice is done. And so they did an excellent job. The common people of Pendleton, I felt, were agreeable that this should be punished. The judges and the law people and the jury came to the conclusion, the death by hanging. That showed the rest of the area and the country that we are a country of justice, and we need to pursue that in all respects.
I'm George Kasparovic. I'm the Pendleton Town Court Judge. I'd like to talk about a program. It all started back in 1975 with Pendleton Emergency Ambulance. Through the years, we realized we wanted to incorporate more people, younger people, into a program. So we developed in 1983 a program called the Pendleton Emergency Ambulance Rookie Program. And that program took select qualified students out of senior year and had them respond just as normal members to an ambulance response system out of school. And they were on ambulance duty from 6 in the morning till 6 at night. The local high school principal, Lauren Skinner, we had become friends and we talked. He was very interested in developing youth. And with that in mind too, we talked about, well, what could we do?
Back in 1982, my friend George Kasparovic and I were discussing at one time, and he said, you know, we really need help with the Pendleton Emergency Ambulance System. What do you think about kids helping out in some way? We drew up a blueprint of maybe how that would work, made a presentation to the school board, and guess what? They accepted us, they trusted us to work out a program that would benefit not only students but also the community.
My name is Kathy Collier, and I was one of the original high school rookies back in 1982-83 for the high school Pendleton Ambulance Program. When I started out, I think what gave me the incentive to join was the fire chief at the time, Ralph Miller. He was my school bus driver. And all through elementary school, junior high, and partly my freshman year, I believe, in high school, I always bombarded him with all kinds of questions as to what the pager was doing, why was it going off, who needed help. And it put a lot of intrigue into my desire to want to help people.
With this, you get the student that really, okay, maybe I want to be in medicine, maybe I don't. So we wound up then taking that person, and we said before, it has to be scholastically proper. They can't lose any of their grade point or anything like that by being involved in it. They have to be responsible. So we find some kids that maybe weren't too responsible, suddenly become responsible because they know they have to be. They did like the aspect of helping people too, and that's something that I guess it's inherent in most medical people. They said, you know, made me feel good. I was able to help that person.
My name is Courtney Etchison, and I go to Pendleton Heights High School. I'm a senior, and I'm a part of the PEA rookie program. I wanted to be on the rookie program because I wanted to help and serve my community. I really enjoy that I can help children and kids who I know and I'm close to.
I still work in the hospital, and I still volunteer on an ambulance service every Tuesday.
I mean, it's helped so many people find their way and find what they want to do with their life. You know, people that thought that maybe they wanted to do something in the medical field, they'll come and run a year, you know, their senior year, and realize, hey, that's not for me. And that's absolutely fine if that's what they decide to do. We have people in this community now, though, that are physicians, that are surgeons, that are paramedics, obviously, respiratory therapists, radiation techs, anything you can think of. And it's funny now, later in life, almost every EMS agency that I associate with in the state knows of Pendleton or has someone that started at Pendleton or ran at Pendleton at some point. So that's kind of a really cool thing for us as an organization.
I was one of 5 during my senior year in high school to run on the ambulance service as a rookie. And it was a great opportunity for me to further educate myself in the EMS field. After that, I became an EMT, went on my own to become a paramedic. I currently am a paramedic captain of the Anderson Fire Department. I'm also an assistant chief of the fire department down here at Pendleton.
I may have had the inception, but it's the people behind me that they call the rookie trainers, and people like that ran with the rookies and helped the rookies and that too. They made it all possible, and that's what's I guess is a high point for me, is the fact that they've carried on with it, and they've done a great job doing it.
Well, I retired in 2002, and guess what? That program is still going, and it has been just a spark in this community for many years. And when I think back of how the board trusted both George and myself to get this thing started and make it run, that today it's still an active ingredient in our emergency management system in Pendleton.
They say that the main street of a town speaks lots about what a town is like. And I think that's true with Pendleton, because our main street is State Street. It's not called Main Street, but it is the main thoroughfare. And it goes from east to west through Pendleton. And it's been there probably since it was a little horse trail. Many years ago, I grew up on the west end of Pendleton. The west end of State Street, and it was just a great place to grow up because it gave me everything I needed. It was a nice neighborhood. There were plenty of friends to play with. There is a creek across the street. Fall Creek goes right down next to State Street at that point in Pendleton. And I used to go over there and dig up crawdads, and there was a tree that hung over the creek that I used to sit in and read Nancy Drew books. And the neighbors were really friendly. I had an affinity for the old people, and they used to be real happy to get all my 4-H trial cookies and tell me stories about Pendleton and about their lives. So that was really a rich experience. Going up the hill, and we do have a slight hill on State Street, the first business you come to is the post office. And as far as I can remember, I think that's the only building that is still doing what it originally did back in the day when I was growing up. It's a beautiful building, and it's maintained really well, and one of my favorite post offices. Beyond that, there were a couple of hardware stores. We'd always get our nuts and bolts, and sometimes an appliance or a whipper or whatever, kitchen utensil there. They had just about everything. Across the street was the Chevrolet dealer, and that's where we got our cars. Next door to that was a jewelry store, and that happens to be where I got my engagement ring, or my husband got it for me. Then beyond that were some groceries. We had a Goff's Meat Market, Bright's IGA Grocery, and then across from that was a barber shop, and then a clothing store, Graham's Department Store, which, by the way, happens to be where I was when my story started with my husband. I was walking to school one day, and I knew his brothers, but I didn't know him, and he didn't know me at all, but he asked his buddy, "Who is that?" And he said, "Well, that's Sherry." And so he called me, and here we are 58 years later, but our story began right there on State Street. And then on the corner beyond there was a drugstore, Stats Drugstore, which also had a stop for public transportation. Across the street was another drugstore that had the best Sloppy Joe sandwiches I've ever had. And then continuing east on State Street, a filling station on the corner, and then the police station, and then the fire station. And then across from that was Jeanette's Diner, Jeanette's Luncheon, I think it was called. A couple blocks later, you'd get to East Street, and that's where you turn and go to school back in the day. There still are schools there, but the schools that I went to are not there or functioning as they did back when I was in school. If you went far enough, you'd go under the viaduct where the trains go over State Street. It's kind of an iconic view of that end of State Street, whether you're eastbound or westbound. So I did that every day for 12 years. Sometimes twice a day I'd go home for lunch, which was quite a walk. And so it was just like, I felt like State Street was my street.
Thank you so much for joining us for Now Entering Pendleton tonight on WIPB. Once more, I'm Angie Rapp along with Michelle Kinsey. We've been having so much fun. She loves me.
Much fun.
She loves me.
Indeed, I do.
We're so happy you could join us for a night celebrating stories from Pendleton. And we have the storytellers and volunteers who helped to make the show possible on the phone banks all around us. Give yourself the hand.
Storytellers!
Give yourselves a hand. And we have so many people we've heard from tonight.
So many.
We've heard mostly from the phone bank,
Yes.
but we have a nice spackling of people who have made donations online. So thank you so much to those folks who have just typed in WIPB.org and made that gift. Benjamin Flesher, Carrie Heath, Tricia Perky, Marissa Skaggs, Scott Wetzel, and Jack Wilson. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful. We cannot thank the people and the town of Pendleton enough for participating in this series. Tonight, it's their stories you are seeing come to life on screen. Residents tackled the question, what makes Pendleton so special? And I think we've already seen that the answer is a lot.
There certainly was no shortage of stories in Pendleton.
So many that we couldn't get them all on this show. So the Now Entering Pendleton DVD will include behind-the-scenes footage of our production days, as well as additional interviews with our storytellers. And if you call in at 800-252-9472 or go online, you can get your very own copy with all of this bonus footage. With your ongoing sustaining gift of $5 or a single annual gift of $60, we'll send you the DVD of Now Entering Pendleton. You'll be able to enjoy all the stories you saw tonight, plus bonus material featuring stories that didn't make it into tonight's program. Behind-the-scenes footage and photos of production day at the Pendleton Historical Museum, as well as all the great stuff from the event tonight. For an ongoing sustaining gift of $9 or a single annual gift of $108, we'll send you 2 DVDs of Now Entering Pendleton. Keep one for yourself and give one as a gift. Call now at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org to support your local PBS station, WIPB.
If you've already called in, thank you so much. But if you haven't, it's not too late to call in to support this program. Just call 800-252-9472. Do that right now. All evening, we've been reading the names of people who have made a contribution to WIPB, and we would love to say thank you to just a few more.
Yes, absolutely. So many. Ready? Here we go.
Yep.
Donna Wood called in memory of her mother. How sweet is that? Aww. Lou Hagemeyer. Kay Cox in memory of Jim Conkin, her father. Lindy Ernley says, we love Pendleton. Great job, Papa Tim. Love Hayden and Clark.
Aww.
Teresa Barber, thank you so much for calling in. Mike Smith says, go Boilermakers. All right, we'll take it. Mike Smith also says, seriously, how many times did Mike call in? Who took Mike's calls? Mike called, is that 2 donations from Mike, or 2 contributions from Mike then? Mike Smith says, this program can't be a live program. The judge is still awake.
Oh, Judge Shade. That was serious Judge Shade right there.
I feel another challenge coming on from the judge. Get ready, everybody.
I'd be careful driving in Pendleton if I was that person. You'd be getting pulled over. Thank you.
Sarah Anderson. She and her family have lived in Pendleton on a farm, and her father was a doctor. She is very excited about the show. Thank you so much, Sarah, for calling in. Those are the ones that I have. And another one. Ron Stanley donated in memory of Fire Chief Ralph Miller. Thank you so much, Ron, for taking the time to call in and show your love for Pendleton.
And I'm back to Facebook Live. All right. So we are going to Jim Anderson. He says he came here in 1955 and he's still here. This is a great community.
Wow.
Dean Highland, one of the best things I've ever done was to move back to my hometown. Isn't that wonderful? Chuck Etchison, always an Arabian. Teresa Bias Pauley says, love Pendleton. Debbie Stanfield Andrews just says, a heart. Laura Brown, I've always had a wonderful Christmas on Parker Hill. Love the Butler family and Pendleton.
Oh, wonderful.
Isn't that wonderful? Marcy Downing, love our little town with heart emojis. Greg Hudson, great presentation. Chloe Erdos is my granddaughter.
Oh, That's wonderful. Chloe's story was great. Loved it.
Joey Hutzler. You called me Judy. It's Joey. Sorry. Sorry, Joey. Carlton Westbrook, watching from the Lauren G. Skinner Auditorium in Pendleton Heights High School. Hi.
Hello.
And Joey, once again, Joey, not Judy. Love my hometown. I owed you that one. Lisa Jones, I loved growing up in Pendleton and raising my family in Pendleton.
Wonderful.
Becky Lowe, hi Mom and Dad, Dick and Sandy Butler. Pendleton is the best town for family and community. Proud to support tonight. Hashtag P-Town Love.
P-Town Love. I like that hashtag, but don't forget, hashtag Now Entering Pendleton as well.
Miranda Luttrell, though I can't watch from the high school, I'm watching this special event from home. Happy face.
Wonderful.
Happy to see the town I love so much getting so much love and attention. Christy Kiesling, love my hometown. So many great memories as a child, teen, and adult. Teresa Harvey, Barber Craig, love my hometown, Pendleton. Hello, classmates. Brian Gust, Pendleton. Whoop, whoop.
Love it.
Milana Luttrell, my mom is on the phone with the lady to the right. My right or her right?
I don't know.
Stage left, right?
Okay.
Okay, Milana Luttrell's mom is here somewhere.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All right. Dorothy Allison Moneyhun says it was great, and we agree. I think I'm caught up from Facebook Live.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. And we certainly hope that it seems like a lot of those people on Facebook have already called in.
I think so.
And if you haven't,
it's not too late.
It is not. It
Pick up
is
that
not.
phone now.
WIPB is here for all ages, from the tiny tots to the grandparents and everyone in between. If it's quality television with impact, you know you will find it on WIPB. We strive to bring you the best in entertainment and reliable information. We have a lot of favorite shows here.
So many.
So many. I love Austin City Limits.
I have been loving Victoria. I'm a little sad it's
Oh
over.
my goodness, yes.
I know.
What a
Mercy
wonderful
Street,
program.
Mercy Street,
Oh my
another one
gosh,
on Sundays.
fantastic program.
I know.
So, and not to mention, we could go on and on about the PBS Kids programming.
Maya Angelou.
Oh
Did you
my
see
goodness.
that? I know.
Amazing program.
I know.
Independent Lens.
Yep. Always.
Consistently amazing documentaries.
Oh, the music special that you love so much. Soundbreaking. Don't get her started.
I've watched that like 17 times. I'm not even kidding you.
I hear about it
a
lot.
And I love the Now Entering series.
Oh, we do. It's one of our favorite things, definitely.
It absolutely is. And if you love Now Entering or you love any of the programs that I just mentioned, please give us a call right now and show your support. 800-252-9472. Let us know you enjoy not only those shows, but the great local program you're watching tonight.
No doubt you've been watching WIPB for a long time. I know personally I've been watching it since about 1971. Not kidding. Grew up with this station right here. Watched Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street and the Electric Company. Maybe you started out as a kid with your own with your own children watching Sesame Street, Clifford, or Curious George. Or maybe you discovered the great dramas on Masterpiece that we were just talking about, or the in-depth news on PBS NewsHour. Maybe you learned something new about your world on Nature or Nova, and maybe tonight you learned a little more about your wonderful neighbors in Pendleton. And maybe you never quite got around to becoming a WIPB supporter.
You know what? This is the perfect time for you to call in and join WIPB as a new member. You can start with just $40 and we'll sign you up with a basic membership. It's that easy. Of course, you can give it whatever amount you are comfortable with. Decide what it's worth for you and then call 800-252-9472 or go online to WIPB.org. And tonight we have a new member challenge from some of our current WIPB members.
Are you up for the challenge? These WIPB members are. For every new member, your contribution will be matched dollar for dollar. It's easy. All you have to do is call or go online to become a WIPB member. And for every gift of support, WIPB will receive a matching gift from one of our current members. What are you waiting for? Take the new member challenge today, so WIPB can continue to bring you the programs you love.
And when you call in and become a member right now, we have some great thank you gifts for you. If you become an ongoing sustaining member with a gift of $5 or a single annual gift of $60, we'll send you the DVD of Now Entering Pendleton. You'll be able to enjoy all the stories you saw tonight, plus bonus material featuring stories that didn't make it into tonight's show. plus behind-the-scenes footage and photos of production day at the Pendleton Historical Museum and the in-studio special night that we're having tonight. We've been taking photos all night. That's included as well. And for an ongoing sustaining gift of just $9 or a single annual gift that's tax deductible, don't forget, of $108, we'll send you 2 DVDs of Now Entering Pendleton. Keep one for yourself and give one as a gift. Just call now at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org to support your local station, WIPB.
As we mentioned earlier, we will be continuing the Now Entering project, and the next town is Knightstown. So be looking out for that show later this summer. We have had so much fun coming into the towns for Now Entering and hearing the stories about who and what makes your town special. Tonight was all about Pendleton, and we hope this show will inspire you to take a trip to visit your neighbors in Pendleton. If you liked Now Entering Pendleton and want to help us make sure the quality local programs like this one stay on WIPB, give us a call at 800-252-9472.
Now listen, I did get a note from Lori Georgie that we've already raised more than $5,000 tonight, so give yourselves a hand.
That's
fantastic. It's not over. There is still time. You can call us anytime. You can go online anytime at WIPB.org.
Even in the middle of the night?
Yeah, whatever.
You
Connie
can
will
contribute.
answer.
Call me. Online. Let's let Connie get some sleep first, and then, We, of course, would like to thank the town of Pendleton, the storytellers, and volunteers. Thank you to the new members and people who called in.
How about our fabulous phone bank? We'd like to thank Suzanne and Debbie and Kathy and Sherry.
Absolutely.
Back row, we have Helen, we have Katie, we have Norma, Judge George in the house. And then we have Sandy and her husband, James. So thank you so much. Thank you. Give yourselves a hand.
Yes,
Give
thank
yourselves
you
a
so
hand.
much. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to our crew.
Oh, we have a storyteller in the back.
Oh,
I left
we
her
do.
out.
Caitlin.
Caitlin.
Yeah, get
Come
over
on
here,
over.
Caitlin. Get in here. When we sign off, you've got to be in here. Come in here in the phone bank with us. Caitlin Evans, everybody. So once again, to all of our storytellers, whether you're here or whether you're watching, thank you so much for participating in Now Entering Pendleton. Thank everyone out there for watching, whether it was on WIPB or on Facebook or on WIPB.org. And of course, thank you so much for calling in your support for programs just like this. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Pendleton and Knightstown. We're coming to you next. Get ready. Good
Bye.
night.
Woo!
Thank you.